And we're back here courtside. I'm Nick England, joined by Matt Prosser. We got our 3 o'clock match getting ready to go. Texas Tyrants coming in at 5-1, I believe, on this one, matching up against the Southern Exposure in a must-win. They are backs against the wall.
Yeah, definitely. This is when the rubber meets the road, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay, for Southern Exposure, they're in a situation where every match for them is a must-win match now for the rest of the season. Based on their record and the other teams in their division, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner where they need some very key wins this weekend.
Yeah, and Tyrants will noticeably not bringing Jake Langlois this weekend. We will see Tony Robinson and Isaiah Afaji as 2 options that they can use on the outside. Isaiah was setting for the team last year. With some new setters coming in, they've swapped him over to the outside. So they'll have 3 outside options there, as well as Tim Johnson on the right and Daniel Jacobs. So.
Listen, even with Jake Langlois, they're a very strong team, obviously. But without him, they're still very strong.
Yes.
They're very capable. They're going to have a little bit more work to do, but they have the reserves on hand to still pull off the victory here.
Yep.
But if you're Southern Exposure, Coach Tony's got his hands full, but they've got the people to get it done today.
Yes, and one thing I look at and notice, though, as I was talking about who's there and who's not, Austin Lovett noticeably missing. So they have Ryan Mounty in the middle on the side of the Tyrants.
Yeah.
And we always talk about how Exposure expects to win. As a team full of kind of that smaller 6'1", 6'2" outside is kind of the same across all 4 of their outsides they bring.
Yeah.
Their middle is the X factor. Uchenna Ofoha, Tim Lurich, Evan McDonough coming in at 6'8", and then you've also got Langston Payne. So the middle is where they excel, and if they don't have both the middles from the Tyrants, this could be a tough one actually for them.
This very well could be a very tough one for either team, actually, now that we talk about the personnel that's here. Uchenna Ofoha just turned 28 yesterday, so a quick happy birthday shout out to him. And, he'll be working hard trying to get the victory for his team. And also, like you said, a couple of very key players for Southern Exposure that, we don't see Eddie Mushikian. He's not here, one of their better outside hitters. Chad Mercado didn't travel. So, Tim Lurich, the middles, they're going to really have to run some heavy offense through the middle of the court for Southern Exposure. Yeah,
a quick note, Chad Mercado, I believe he knew he would not be able to travel for this event regardless. However, last event, he strained his knee when they were playing against Dallas Tornadoes, and there was that huge 36-kill performance from Felix Chapman.
Yep.
Chad Mercado was right around 18 or 19 kills himself when his knee gave out.
Oh.
So when he got checked out by the trainer, they were saying, like, you're out for 4 or 5 weeks. You've got to rest up. And so he knew that even though he couldn't make this event, he wouldn't have been able to travel and play anyway. So he's resting up, hoping he can make it back in time for event number 5.
One thing that Southern Exposure is also going to have to rely on are some of their role players as we're about ready to get underway. And Noah is over there with Coach Tony to talk about their lineup today. Noah, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Really good points. I'm here with head coach Tony Glasner. And, Tony, it's a tough matchup here with the Tyrants in a must-win situation. How do you kind of go into this day knowing who you're facing?
I think our guys are I think they're very motivated to perform well and make sure that we get to championship weekend. I think looking on the other side of the net, they don't look at their strongest, but that doesn't mean anything. We just got to come out and play hard today. I think as long as we take control of the passing and the serving, I think it's going to be just a fun match and a really competitive match overall.
And you mentioned their side of the net, no Langlois. How do you take advantage of that weakness right now?
Yeah, I mean, we got to go out and, I don't know if it's exploit him not being there, but we just need to make sure we take care of the business on our side. He's a very efficient player that they're losing, and I'm not sure how they're going to set it up over there to replace him, but I know that they've got teammates that can help in supporting roles, so we just need to make sure that we can maybe take care of that oppo scoring on our side with maybe a different blocker over there.
Yeah, no Mercado or Mashigi on your side. Who do you need to kind of step up to fill in those gaps for you?
Well, we have Tim stepping in as the oppo, and he did it last year for us, and we've got a lot of trust in Tim that he's going to perform really well. So I think offensively, as long as we're taking control of the pass, that I think all of our hitters are going to do or be able to be in a good position. I think our middles can be very effective. They're also missing Austin. It looks like Austin Lovett, who's a pretty impactful middle for them. So hopefully we can do something about that as well.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Nick, Matt, I'll send it back to you guys.
Sounds good, and that was one thing Matt and I were over here observing as well. Tim Lurich going to be getting the nod starting on the right side. Lurich was the second MVP middle blocker last year on the All-NVA team because of his blocking prowess. So if there is a team to bring your best blocker and put him in front of the outsides, Texas Tyrants is definitely that team.
Yeah, absolutely, and Lurich will probably see quite a few set attempts today in this match as the opposite player always does get quite a lot of opportunities offensively for his team, so it'll be very interesting to see how he does. And we all know he's going to be a great blocker from his middle blocking prowess, and like you just said, so should be a very interesting matchup there as well.
Yeah, fresh off, he was playing in the Bundesliga. That's the German professional league. He was in the second league over there this past season. Rattray was in the first, and a couple other guys in the league as well. So that's where, he was getting a lot of that off-season touch and experience. But one of the things that I pay most attention to is guys like that. He likes playing a variety of different indoor, outdoor, and he just has a good touch for the game. So someone like him, you can move him around and get what you want.
Yeah.
But also, what I do like, seeing it at Johnny Gomez back sporting the pink jersey for the libero, he passes so well. Maybe we'll see some back ones, some combos, and interesting sets that mix it up a little bit and maybe throw the Tyrants for a bit of a loop.
Perhaps, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Southern Exposure can do with Lurich at the opposite position and how they can incorporate him. Obviously, we know how important the passing is and service reception from the opponent to set up your offense. It's a matter of whether or not they've been able to train it, and practice it leading up to this match and this weekend's event.
One of the names we haven't been able to talk about too much this season that I really, really hope that we get to say a little bit more today is Tyler Hubbard-Neal. Back in 2020 when he made his debut with the NVA out in Utah during our COVID event, he was pretty non-existent. He was a serving guy. He was around just a little bit here and there. Broke into the scene in 2021, and he was a takeover guy.
Yeah,
he had multiple 20-kill performances, and it was stellar to see his performance. But this year, all these outsides, Mushikian, Gershfeld, Hubbard-Neal, they've all been a little bit quiet, and we haven't seen too much from them. So I really want to see him step up, get involved, get engaged, and see what he can do for this squad.
Yeah, he's been a very impactful player, like you said, Nick. Tyler Hubbard-Neal has been for Southern Exposure. Last year, maybe carrying a little bit more of the offensive load than this year so far, but you always have to know where he is on the court and expect him to get another few set opportunities, just like the opposite.
Now, real quick to go into, we're talking about Hubbard-Neal. However, on the side of Exposure, the starting squad that we're going to have here in the libero jersey, Johnny Gomez setting as Derek Sullivan. On the right side, Tim Lurich. In the middle, going with Evan McDonough and Uchenna Ofoha. So McDonough getting the nod there over Langston Payne. On the outside, Lev Gershfeld, as well as number 3, Mike Pelletier, who we saw for the first time with Exposure last event. He set for one match, as well as played some outside. He's a brand new addition to this squad and a welcome bit of experience. So I like the lineup that we're seeing. I think that this is, on paper, a squad that's ready to do some damage. So we'll see how Tyrants answer back. And I'm curious who their second middle is. Their options are really only probably Afaji or Tim Johnson, I would guess, based on personnel.
Yeah, I would put my money on Afaji going into the middle.
I agree.
Tim Johnson's most likely going to be the opposite hitter for the Tyrants. Obviously, Grosso is going to be the 0-1.
Yep. There you go. Daniel Jacobs, the only player on the bench coming in because they can really plug a guy like him in anywhere. He can play outside. He can play right side. So they're going to have a variety of options there. Matt and I are having a nice little powwow right now trying to figure out exactly what it is. So it looks like Anthony Robinson is going to be getting the nod in the middle. Anthony Robinson and Grosso were the 0-1, 0-2, 1-2 punch last year. One of the best defensive outside cores in the league, and we haven't seen too much from Anthony this season. So looks like he'll be making his debut in the middle. Grosso outside. Tim Johnson on the right. Afaji is the second outside. And Gabo Quinones is taking the hands. Ball barely gets punched over. Tyrants free ball opportunity. Pelletier with a big dig, and there's going to be a net, though. You hate to see that happen after such a beautiful defensive move there from number 3.
Well, that was a very interesting opening rally for this match.
Yeah.
As you were talking about Robinson playing in the middle, he's blocking against 6'10" Evan McDonough, so there's a heavily sided height advantage for Southern Exposure. Can't make the connection, though, there.
Ball just long from Johnson. Johnson's had a little bit of a slower season himself. It's given a bunch of opportunities to Daniel Jacobs on the right side. This match, it looks like they're going to opt, though, back to Johnson. He is definitely a high flyer, very explosive, and has had a lot of successful time here in the NVA. So we'll see if he's able to kind of get right back on top of that. Gershfeld with the jump serve. Quinones goes to Robinson. Throws it back now. Easy roll shot picked up. Middle opportunity, and the size mismatch exploited brilliantly in transition by Sullivan as McDonough gets a nice point into zone 1.
Now, this is a very interesting rotation for the Tyrants to start in. Really only going to have their best outside hitter attacker, Grosso, in the front row for one rotation here. And so far, it's proving to backfire a little bit.
Gershfeld putting the pressure. Johnson tries to chop it down the line, but good court taken by Lurich in the block of McDonough.
And for the Tyrants right now, they're just struggling to pass the ball so that they can run an in-system offense.
Gershfeld to jump again, sends that one just long. And Matt, this gets to an interesting conversation. I'm kind of curious your thoughts as someone that, excels as a middle blocker, and I'm someone that does so much, passing. I would like to see Robinson in the serve receive line, given how good he is as a passer, and really excel to make sure that you've got Grosso, Robinson, and Jose Molero back there, rather than, maybe the best middle blocking option that, you give up some of that defense. I'm curious what your thoughts are. And that's going to give you an unfair advantage to respond, because Anthony Robinson gets a nice stop in the middle on the back row attack to Gershfeld.
I think Anthony just told you that he shouldn't pass because he's the blocker. He needs to be up there to take care of the net.
That was impressive.
Given the personnel that's here for the Tyrants, it's a very tricky situation, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see some guys change positions, maybe perhaps between sets, regardless of what the scoreboard is, because they have, more well-rounded volleyball players than specific middle blockers for this match today. Anthony could absolutely stay in and pass through the back row, which is not something you typically see from a middle blocker. So they have to get creative.
Yeah. Work
with what they got.
Afaji hammering that off the inside hand there of the block. Good kill for number 11. 4-4. Both these teams showing us a variety of pieces. Southern Exposure is kind of known for different lineups, different guys in different positions, and just making things work for them. But Gershfeld off to a slow start with his serve receive right now. That's going to be the second ball that he passes and gets a suboptimal result.
Suboptimal is a nice way of saying that was a terrible pass.
Yep. That's exactly what that was. Not a good contact. Able to fix it there, though. And Ofoha is dug from Quinones. Faji looking for hands, does not find it, and that one goes long. Good call by our reffing crew from what I saw, just over the top. And I don't think any of these teams are looking to challenge this early on. We always talk about when you challenge. Yeah, and that's not it.
Pretty early to use up a challenge here on that one.
Tim Lurich, good pressure. Mounty getting involved, but dug by Gomez. Free ball over. Gobble goes to Grosso. Grosso finds the sideline. Tyrants are unrelenting in their offensive attempts there, and rewarded for it is Grosso.
Well, I do like that the Tyrants have Ryan Mounty at middle front and Grosso in the back court so that they can spread out their offense a little bit. Grosso relies so heavily on that big attack. Expect Mounty to run some patterns to open up the big attack for Grosso.
Definitely a great point, and it's something we keep talking about the potential, like how do you use your personnel, and it's those little things that are going to matter. We've kind of observed that this weekend a lot of these teams definitely short on people, but that can't be a reason or excuse not to put your best foot forward with the people you got. Pelletier with the float serve. Afaji blocked back, covered. Tyrants in pursuit, but no dice off a nice blocking move there from the side of Southern Exposure.
Southern Exposure, like we talked about, definitely winning the size category in this matchup, and that was a good move there by Afoha and the setter.
Back set all the way. Johnson roll shots to keep it alive, and a little bit of a redirect there. Gomez gets caught going the wrong way.
I think Gomez was maybe possibly trying to fill in the gap. There might have been a seam in that block that was open, and he stepped into it right at the point of contact, and of course when that happens, the ball goes the other direction.
Gershfeld now coming through, powers that one through the block. Ofoha there trying to hold the middle blockers for the side of the Tyrants. But Gershfeld finds the way all the same.
We talked about it pregame, Nick. Lev Gershfeld's going to have a big match for his side, and that's a good start for him. He started well from the inline as well, so.
Set was low, picked up in transition. Lou Rich just standing down ball, mislocation on that set from Sullivan. And that one is another low set. Mounty throwing that one over his shoulder and out of bounds.
Yeah, that set's way too low for Ryan Mounty. He's 6'8". Set your boy up, let him reach for it, hammer that ball back in the court, but don't trap him with that low, tight set like that.
Foha, nice float serve. Isaiah Afaji very clearly is the serving target for Southern Exposure. But a block there put together from Quinones, and Mounty gets it done, shutting Gershfeld down.
Now that was all Ryan Mounty on the block. Had a great view of it. Nice hand straight over the net. Directs that ball back deep into the court for that block point.
Lou Rich getting some very good extension on that one. Swinging at a very, very aggressive D-ball there. Love to see that from a guy maybe not in what we would think is
That's
his
his first attack out of the back row, and he came flying in out of nowhere and absolutely hammered that ball down for a point.
Malero with a perfect pass. Off the high hands, reset. Lou Rich gets it back. Gets it in over, nope, saved. And Grosso misses the wipe. That's something we've seen this season from Grosso. Sometimes when he starts getting a lot of the sets, he makes some uncharacteristic errors that some teams have taken advantage of at times. And without Langlois to maybe be a bit of that trash collector, that's something we'll have to keep an eye on.
Very much so, Nick. Great point by you, especially with this lineup the Tyrants have. Without Langlois here, plus the location of Quinones' setting has been a little shaky to start. We've got a net violation called on Grosso that time.
Goes right back to that point. That was a really nice pulled block there. Tim Lurich goes up for a full block move, thinks that he might be a liability, get wiped, pulls hand, and Sullivan just sitting on it, ready for that roll shot over. So good sound blocking discipline from the side of Exposure. But Quinones' net presence right there, able to reset a ball off the block, second jump, throw it down. Gabo targets Gershfeld. Lou Ridge, tight set.
How about Johnson and Robinson pairing up for that stuff down?
Two guys not used to each other as like the, being next to each other there. Sullivan, oh my, McDonough is so vertical there, but a nice dig from Malero. That was one of those plays. Sometimes Evan McDonough, who picked up volleyball very, very recently and uses a lot of his physicality to, pull him through the match. Sometimes not as familiar when those long rallies get going.
Well, credit to Malero scooping that quick attack out of the middle.
Misses that set, but no call. Time to play on. Johnson swings into the corner. The league consistently, the goal has been to, let guys play on. Doubles are exceptionally rare.
No one wants to hear the referee blow their whistle.
No, we want to see some volleyball. That's what it's all about. So Sullivan knows that that's not the hands he wanted, but got to play through, and Tyrants were ready to. Middle smash, scooped easily. Grosso goes wide. That's the third error in a row for Grosso there.
Now the Tyrants had made a nice comeback to even it up at 12, but another hitting error that time from Grosso into the angle. Just misses the sideline, but point goes to Southern Exposure.
Nice pass from Malero once again. Well-formed double block. It's been pretty funny to watch the parity between Afaji and Gershfeld just be the target for 90% of both respective teams. Just they've got their guy, and it is everyone after that one guy, seeing who will break first.
It's a good test.
Pelletier overpasses. Anthony Robinson says, "Thank you, I'll take the free point." Big kill out of the middle there.
Anthony Robinson really proving that he'll play whatever position his team calls for him. Wants to help his squad get the victory, and if that means he's got to play middle blocker and attack overpasses like that, he's more than happy to do so.
I think that's one of the things that gets understated is so many players at this level really they're just well-rounded players. So, you've got very few guys here only play one position, and when they've got to step in, they're able to execute. But you love to see that. Grosso, we said 3 errors in a row. How does he respond? Gets a big serve, gets the overpass, kill. Big serve there, another overpass, then gets the kill out of the pipe. He doesn't waste any time writing those errors right back on top, and that's why he is such a veteran and such a big part of this team. Leaves that one just short, but putting the Tyrants in a pretty good spot all the same with a 1-point lead at 15-14 at the end of his 3-serve service run. Outside to Afaji, and man, he's got a hammer. In the NVA, our experience with Isaiah has really been as a setter. However, in college, he did play outside, so not too rare for him, but just not a lot of experience doing it recently, and passing is where you'll see that. But that's going to be it. We're going to take a quick technical timeout break at 16. We'll be right back. Getting back into the action here. A 2-point lead, 16-14 for the Tyrants. Some of those small plays right now coming into effect. Really the difference, I think, is the passing that we've seen. Exposure not passing the way they need. 2 very recent float serves. Little discussion here. Wrong ball was grabbed out of the basket. Take the opportunity to give a quick shout out to Mikasa, proud ball sponsor of the NVA. However, that was left over from some of the old balls that they used to sponsor the league, and we've now switched it up, so that's been resolved. Good pass from Grosso. Johnson, the high flyer over the top of the block. Sullivan to the Lurich on the D-ball. This one goes long by a couple feet. Southern Exposure is hurting to find someone that will be their answer in out-of-system opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be one of the problems for them today. If they do get out of system, it's going to be hard for them to score points and find court because we have people out of place. There's a big service ace from the Tyrants.
And getting it on Johnny Gomez nonetheless.
Yeah, and just to keep going on that topic a little bit, Nick, Southern Exposure really has to pass the ball perfectly so that they can run some offense through the middle, especially with Gershfeld out there. He's not really known for his quick attacking from the back row. So that is something that Southern Exposure is really going to have to emphasize on, is their passing so that they can set Ofoha and McDonough through the middle.
Yeah. We talked a little about Hubbard Neal prior to the match, and I think right now they've got to be looking at some of their other outsides to see if one of them is ready to maybe bring some of that stability in the passing. Afaji there, easy casual tip over the top, and Ofoha gets a touch, but Sullivan cannot keep that one alive. And the free points continue for Texas Tyrants as Southern Exposure look out of sorts right now.
Now, it's been a great response from the Tyrants after they went down early on. They've tightened up their ship and getting after it now. Working in transition is Grosso. There's a nice shot by the setter back to the corner for the point.
Sullivan using all of that 6'5" in the body right there. Throws that one deep into the corner. Good court vision there. And some scrappy play by Lurich to make sure that that tip over the top comes up. The big man lays out. Love to see when a middle has a lot of that defensive, mindset ingrained the way that Lurich does. And Ofoha with a bailout for Tyrants as he misses that one short. 20-17, 3 points right now in this match. The way it's going does not bode well for Exposure.
And that's just straight up communication right there, Nick. You got multiple guys not going for the ball, not calling it. And you have guys that aren't used to playing with one another. Got to talk about the seams, especially as Ryan Mounty has been able to expose that one of Southern Exposure.
Yeah. McDonough gets vertical, but dug in the back row by Afaji. And there it is in transition. The Tyrants are able to score once again. Quick shout out to Isaiah Afaji. That's 2 digs in a row and just doing a nice job of keeping things going forward for the Tyrants. Anthony Robinson now stuffing it down against Derek Sullivan. Everybody on the Tyrants taking their chance to score some points. That's going to be 23-17, a 3-point run since the last time out. Matt, this one's looking like the Southern Exposure are in a bit of dire straits. But
well, I mean, we still got a long ways to go, and this set might get out of reach quickly, or it might be out of reach right now, but that's why it's 3 out of 5, and Southern Exposure is going to have to find out a way to respond. But yeah, it's not quite panic time, but pretty close.
Yeah, and I think honestly the solution here is out of this timeout here. If I was Exposure, I would use these last couple points. I would make a substitution on the outside. Get a new guy warmed up with the last couple points because you're down by 6 with only 2 to go. Pretty unlikely you mount a comeback. So I'd be looking down the depth chart. Depth charts.
Get it out.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One more time.
Well, Hubbard Neal appears to be ready to go, and you may expect to see him here starting set number 2 after this one.
Ooh, Evan McDonough, the big man, getting it done. Slamming that one straight down as number 19.
I caught that one, Nick. Good,
Thanks.
Good one.
Yep.
Way to sneak that in. Sure, Evan will listen to it later and laugh as well. Sure he's never heard that one. Oh my goodness. Miscommunication once again for McDonough and Gershfeld.
Ooh, you want that one back. That one's a hard one to swallow when you're trying to find some energy. Overpass out of bounds. Never a friendly one when the teammates are letting you know how they feel.
Set point for the Tyrants now.
McDonough is the option, so Sullivan definitely not willing to give up on his game plan of a middle-centric offense, and that's definitely where they that was the move from Southern Exposure. When we saw him make his debut was against the Utah Stingers last year, and they just throw him out there, let him be big, and use all of that physicality.
Still set point, though. And there's that Tyrant quick play to Grosso on any kind of major point or crazy long rally, but he missed on that one.
Gershfeld off the tape. Ricochets out of bounds, and that's going to do it at 25-20. Texas Tyrants take down Southern Exposure here in the first set. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with set number 2 in just a minute. Well, Matt, as we get back into this one here, the Texas Tyrants, they just took down Southern Exposure out of Orlando, 25-20. Definitely some question marks that need to be answered here on the side of Exposure based on what we're seeing, them running back the same roster. Any thoughts on, any personnel adjustment there? I guess Langston Payne is replacing McDonough, looking for a small adjustment there, but no changes in personnel besides that. Any thoughts on how maybe what we do or don't think would be happening, how that's going to impact what's to come?
Well, really for Southern Exposure, they've got to find the court with their attacking, okay? They had they only scored 8 points on their offense in a 25-point set, right? So that's not going to help the cause, okay? You've got to be a little bit more efficient, and then you also got to be a little stronger on the serve from the inline, put the other team in some compromised positions, if you will, and try to earn your points on your block and defensive side as well.
Yeah, worth noting reception for the Tyrants at 71%. Anytime you're above a 70%, you can be said that you're in system pretty reliably. 55% for Southern Exposure means that they are certainly not. That is a number that they'll want to improve throughout this set as we get underway. Grosso swinging into the double block. Lurich in pain, wasting no time to get a point for himself. Big swing from Payne. That's kept alive from the Tyrants until a swing goes long from Gabo Quinones. Back set to Johnson, tips over the top, picked up by Gomez, kept alive out of the net, sent over, but a tight pass means Afaji on the back row attack, and the block of Payne is able to keep that one alive and finds the line. Point for Exposure.
Well, with Langston Payne and Tim Lurich in the front row, that's going to be a good blocking rotation for Southern Exposure. See if they can get more blocks like that here in set number 2. Looking for that response after losing set 1.
Grosso makes that serve look easy, but Sullivan digs the line shot. Gershfeld swinging out of the back row, attacking the small block of Quinones, and Robinson punches that one through effectively.
Might see a substitution here for the Tyrants as Grosso is going to sub himself out. And Mark Jacobs is going to come back in. Daniel Jacobs, not Mark. Sorry about that, Daniel.
Grosso pulled about 2 points ago. Something came down wrong in his groin there, it looked like. And so it was looking a little strained. So they have now used their only substitution. Like I said, Daniel Jacobs being the guy that they can use kind of anywhere. He played his NAIA. I don't recall where he played his NAIA ball offhand, but he was an NAIA, top kill contender in his final season there, and someone that is well versed as a pin on both sides of the court. So see what he can do here for the Tyrants.
Yeah, Daniel Jacobs has had a pretty decent year for the Tyrants when he's been needed. He's been playing a lot of right side for him. Him and Tim Johnson have been a little bit split on that role, but that time Lurich from the right side showing him how to get it done.
I think Sullivan's doing a good job of identifying where, he's got a game plan of how he wants to win this and how to use the pieces on his team. And I think he's doing that well, identifying the middle as a potential mismatch. Also, Lurich against Jacobs, fresh off the bench, sets him right away, wasting no time. Ball goes wide. Pelletier does a nice job setting the block exactly where he wants it. Ofoha closes, and DJ swings wide. Afaji is figuring out his way around that pass. And now Pelletier shuts it down and rejects the swing from Jacobs. 2 hitting errors in a row now.
Well, it's a big turnaround and a great response from Southern Exposure, especially now that Grosso's not in the game. That's going to help Southern Exposure even that much more here. Try to get back in this match.
Big swing, big block, and that's going to be a point for Exposure there. Tim Lurich sends that one straight down. Little discussion. I don't think anyone was aware what actually happened. I mean, that was a heck of a block.
Yeah, that was. And Lurich got up really high, stuffed that ball straight back down, but some confusion on if the ball was in or out. But point goes to Southern Exposure.
Jacobs swings, and that one's wide. And now the Tyrants, out of sorts and out of answers, have to call a timeout as they are down 8-2. We're going to be right back as the Tyrants have a bit of an adventure ahead of them. Southern Exposure answers back nicely from set number 1 to set number 2. The situation for Grosso still TBD. We'll see if we get a little bit more information as things unfold there. But Gershfeld able to step close, gets a nice kill through the block there for the Texas Tyrants. 9-2. This one is quickly running away from the Tiger Stripe Tyrants.
And Nick and Matt, an interesting element with Coach Grosso not at this event and John Grosso over getting some things worked on. There's not a lot of leadership on the bench right now when things go wrong and they're battling some adversity. So it'll be interesting to see who steps up and really helps change things to turn things around.
Yeah, it's a great point, and we talk about that as, a lot of these teams are full of guys that coach, but to have the respect and ability to step up and do that for teams at this level, it definitely takes some time to have that trust. Pelletier gets a nice kill that last play off the triple block, getting a wipe. And now a block from Uchenna Ofoha going all the way across the net. Shuts that one down, and Tyrants are looking for any way to get the ball to cross over the net right now.
Yeah, 11-2 on the scoreboard, and some serious trouble right now for Tyrants, figuring out the riddle that is their own side now and how to side out against this Southern Exposure block that's starting to wake up.
Johnson, big swing over the top, misses the hands. That's one of the problems he's been having, is he is so high, he doesn't almost see where the block is at times, and he's been missing that court quite a bit.
That's a real unfortunate problem.
Yeah, not one that I can relate to at all, I gotta say. Malero with a good pass. Jacobs swung, and it's caught by Langston Payne there. Jacobs needed that kill pretty desperately to keep the team rotating and moving on through. See if a different lineup here gives them a little bit of a better offensive look. Ups for a float serve. Ofoha tools that off the blocks of Robinson and Johnson. Lurich back to jump. Wow. Great serve, but an even better pass, and now Johnson absolutely detonates. That was clinical. We saw in the chat earlier, Nick Ramos, someone that's played for Chicago Untouchables and currently on the Matadors, mentioned that Afaji was an All-American his senior year, and that's where you see it. The biggest thing, like I mentioned earlier, as an outside hitter, reps are everything. So as long as he's able to kind of find his way back into a passing groove, which he has a wealth of offensive capability and experience. So excited to see if that's able to kind of help them mount a comeback here. As Johnson swings in and is dug back row by Lurich. Free ball from Pelletier goes short. Mounty takes one. Afaji swings deep, swings out, and gets the kill off Sullivan.
Good extended rally there from both sides. A couple big swings, but Afaji scoring that final point for the Tyrants to try to keep it within a decent amount of space.
Pelletier with a cheeky roll shot, rewarded by the net violation there on the side of the Tyrants. Grosso has limped his way back to the bench, not looking good. Maybe a high quad strain. Got some ice on the on his leg there, so we'll get an answer here from Noah shortly. Bump set from Mounty to Johnson. Dug by Lurich back row. Chipped over. Pelletier ready for that out of system. And Matt, we talked so much about the out of system game at the end of set number 1. Very quickly, it feels like the train has gone off the rails there, and obviously losing Grosso doesn't help, but it was 8-2 prior to his departure.
Yeah, they definitely started off in a big deficit here. Southern Exposure doing a nice job responding after losing set number 1, but the Tyrants just didn't get out of the gate very well.
All right, sideline man here, Noah, getting a little bit more insight. Noah, you're chatting with Grosso. What are you hearing?
Well, unfortunately, it looks like he has a quad strain of some sort. He's got it taped up with ice to it, And unless he's got a miraculous turnaround, he doesn't think he's going to come back in today. Doesn't want to force anything.
Yeah, definitely got to be mindful of it there. Wow, nice cover there from Quinones. Afaji goes back. Back dump. A bit of a traffic jam there and attempts to recycle and keep that one alive, but no block touch. The Tyrants looking for anything. Gabo Quinones just, debating a challenge on the touch. And there it is. We were waiting for the official. Sorry, I'm trying to listen to these guys, and I'll get you an answer here as to what's going on. Going to rewatch some of the play here. We're getting all sorts of insight. Something that Malero was talking about there was that there was a potential hand set from Exposure. So there was just a lot of debate about things going on there. Set the outside. Afaji swings into the block of Sullivan. Matta. So, okay, to explore some thoughts there and give, there was a lot of tidbits we were trying to observe. Malero was talking about that basically he thought that Johnny Gomez took that first ball with his hands in front of the 10-foot line. As a setter, if you do that, you cannot attack on two. So the setter dump from Sullivan would be an ineligible, would be a back row attack is what it would be deemed.
Yes.
However, on watching that back, Gomez just behind the 10-foot line, Sullivan eligible to do exactly what he did, and that was nullified. They were fine there. Now on the side, there was a discussion from the Tyrants if they wanted to challenge on Afaji's tip throw out of the back for see if he got the block. He did not.
Right.
So at the end of all of that, Exposure got the point. But that's exactly what was going on. I was trying to, figure out what was going, so there was a lot of discussions.
Yeah. But thanks for that breakdown, Nick. That was very informative. Appreciate your court awareness during the broadcast.
Trying. Nice kill there on the side of the Tyrants, finding Mounty in transition on the middle there.
Unfortunately, our headsets aren't connected to the referee's microphone, so we can't always hear what they're talking about. So we're trying to read some lips, and which isn't my specialty, but also understand what's happening during the rally to determine who's going to get the point or possibly challenge something.
Pelletier sticks the pass. Lurich sticks the swing. Been pretty impressed with his contributions so far. The back row efforts from Lurich going very well. Jump serve there from Sullivan. Quick set, a little bit low, but Jacobs works some magic and catches Langston Payne not quite over the net early enough there.
Yeah, the Tyrants are going to need a lot of magic here. This set is pretty much in the books. 8 serving 19,
wow.
So
yeah,
it's a very heavily sided to Southern Exposure.
That's going to be a high line cutty swing there from Lurich, showing a variety of hitting vocabulary that he's got there.
The rarely seen high line cutty shot.
Yeah, just gets over the top there nicely, chops it down. Johnson calling it out. Very surprised by that in call. Daniel Jacobs, the only option. Does not clear the tape. No block touch. Means that's going to be a point for Exposure. And they are continuing to run away with this one. I keep waiting for them to falter, maybe kind of just relax and give Tyrants a little bit of a run. But, Matt, they are just not putting their foot off the gas pedal at all.
No, they're certainly not. And that's exactly what Coach Tony wants them to do, is keep the pressure on the Tyrants and don't let them get any chances to score points or create any of their own momentum either.
And if you're an Exposure fan back home, this is definitely one that you're feeling good about as a team that has struggled not to put themselves in winning positions, but just to close that match out all season long. They've done a very, very good job of just getting there, but you've got to finish it out all the way. And that's what we were talking about with your match for that last match there with the Stunners, is seeing your guys, no matter the lineup, doing a nice job of being able to figure out who could, contribute consistently. And it looked really good for you guys, but not nearly as good as that inside set from Jacobs coming across, wasting no time, just huge swing there, out of system. Back set to Lurich is dug by Afaji. Now Jacobs taking a swing at Gomez. Lurich finds it though. Robinson resets. Afaji out of the back row sends that one long.
Johnny Gomez getting the scoop of the day right there.
Yeah.
Look at the best view, but I think he might have taken that one right off the chin, maybe the shoulder.
I saw it was a shoulder, yeah. Okay, now there is a touch on the block being challenged. And that was on Afaji's back row swing, so I don't know. I don't think he caught anyone there, but we'll have to keep our eye on it. This is kind of one of those, I think this is just a dumb challenge, to be very blunt, when you're behind this much. Like, I believe in Tyrants' ability to right the ship going into set 3, figure out who needs to be where, because without Grosso, they might be making some switches and adjustments.
Yeah.
But you need this later. Doing it down by 10 points is just not,
maybe not the smartest
14
challenge.
points, this is not it.
Not the right choice of plays to challenge, or even the right time to challenge at, given the scoreboard. It's not like the challenge is going to, even if you do win the challenge, unless you're just trying to get to double digits on the board, you're definitely not going to win the set based off of this challenge. The moral victory of double digits.
It was interesting getting back on the court with the challenge system myself this morning, knowing, because also we didn't have a coach, so I was coaching while playing. So I was the ultimate voice on what challenges we were going to take. And there was definitely some times you were shutting some people down, and there were some very obvious ones.
Yeah.
But the 50-50 ones were still never worth it. We had one that we talked about at 0-0, and we laughed because we all took a step back, and it was like, what are we talking about, guys? It's 0-0.
Even if you do win it, then what? It's only 1-0.
Yeah. So with that, no touch, burned challenge, and that's worst possible outcome.
My philosophy is that you really don't even need to use a challenge before the technical timeout at 16 points.
I
because
agree.
Really, it's not going to influence the outcome of the set at any time earlier than that.
Ooh, Mike Pelletier sends that back to Jacobs with a first-class stamp as he shuts that one down one-on-one.
That was one of the biggest blocks we've seen this weekend so far, Nick. Kind of looked like you blocking out there this morning.
I love to see that. Good pass by Hafaji. Nice swing. I like that it feels like Johnson's starting to take a little bit off on the out-of-system swings. And he's, like we said, he's so high. Just place it in the corners. You don't have to rip every ball.
Yeah, he's got to be the biggest jumper in the NVA. I mean, kid, when you think he's at the peak of his jump, he keeps going.
Yep. Good swing. Recovered by Lou Rich. Quick set to middle. Ofoha swings. Misses that one. And Exposure is looking for, they're going to Coach Tony Glasner here to challenge. But they've all calmed it down and said not worth doing.
Again, not another point where you would want to waste a challenge if you were to not get it. It's 24-11.
24-11, guys. What are you doing? And there it is. There's the kill. Uchenna Ofoha gets it right back. All right, Matt, and as that brings us to one-on-one for the set count, our man on the sideline, Noah Trask, has been doing some investigative work this week. Done some work also talking into Southern Exposure. So we're going to throw it over to Noah. Noah, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And I'm talking about a Southern Exposure player who's not with the team right now. It's because he's doing some pretty incredible things. It's Kyle D'Agostino. He's a libero with the U.S. national team, and he just led them to a 4-0 start in the Volleyball Nations League. And I caught him between Brazil and Bulgaria to talk about his time with the NVA and his journey to becoming a national team player.
I think the best thing about playing for USA is that no matter who you play, you're always going to get their best match.
27-year-old Kyle D'Agostino is currently repping the red, white, and blue, playing libero for the U.S. national team in the VNL.
Overpass, Vakari hits into D'Agostino!
I mean, you're going at it with the best of the best liberos in the world, and you're holding your own by a long shot.
In someone's playing career, you feel like you just wait for that one opportunity and that one shot.
The Tampa native is not doing his best Eminem impression. He's being honest about a pivotal moment in his volleyball career.
In previous years, I was one of the younger guys, and I could feel like I had more room to learn and experiment. This year, not as much, and I think that's a good thing. I'm being pushed to mature.
The Stanford grad has been with the national team before and has played professionally in Slovenia and Germany. Last year, with COVID restrictions tight, he just missed the cut to be in the USA gym.
Which gave me the opportunity to find another outlet, and I joined Southern Exposure in the NVA.
Kyle was blown away by the quality of play in the NVA and the diversity of volleyball backgrounds.
I loved that experience. It was interesting for me because I was able to reconnect with people that I grew up playing against and with, but then also experience a different side of volleyball and level of volleyball that I had never really been privy to.
After the NVA season, he was ready to go back overseas. There was just one problem.
In the fall of this last pro season, I didn't have a job.
Kyle couldn't land a contract and ended up training by himself in the national team gym in Anaheim while all the other players were competing around the world.
It's really a bummer that I don't have a job right now. And there were times when I was having a hard time with it.
Kyle was struggling, down on himself and where he was with his career, until one day his strength coach looked at him and gave him some prophetic advice.
You're doing everything you need to be doing. This is the place you need to be right now.
And he was right. A few weeks later, Kyle signed a contract with a popular club in Finland, and now he's leading the defense on Team USA, shining on one of the world's biggest stages.
It ended up being a blessing, and I went to Finland well prepared, and I think it is reflecting in my performance now.
To D'Agostino, they're playing it through the middle, and Jendrik, as he so often does.
And Kyle told me he'd love to come back and play for the NVA. Unfortunately, just a little bit busy this summer. He's been playing so well with the national team. He's really going to try his chances at sticking around there. And he'll probably be backing up Eric Shoji for now, but he's got a solid spot on that team and has really been impressing himself. And we're rooting for you, Kyle. It's great to see you shine on really one of the biggest stages in the country.
Awesome bit of information there, Noah. Great to see the sideline hits that you're always bringing to keep our players relevant and share their stories. That's what makes this league so special.
Yeah.
Really guys representing over 11 different countries, national teams all over the world. Yeah. And now that's one of the big bridges that we're looking to cross as a league and legitimize ourselves, is that national team guys want to be involved with this. And so when we see D'Agostino go from exposure right into that spot, and right now with the retirement of Dustin Watton from the national team, behind Shoji there's a hole to see who that second libero is going to be. And right now, if you've watched any of the Volleyball Nations League matches, Kyle D'Agostino making a very impressive statement.
Yeah, he had a very good start to the Volleyball Nations League for sure. And with the Olympics only about a year and a half away now, in Paris 2024, it's going to make that roster competition a little bit tighter in that libero position as well.
We wish him the best as he heads to Bulgaria, and we wish Gabo Quinones the best as he heads to the service line to see if this Texas Tyrants ship is able to find its way forward after that blowout there at 25-11 in the second set. Serve to Pelletier. Gershfeld swinging cross court. Too much heat for Jose Malero, a statement not said frequently.
Well, if I'm Southern Exposure during that break between games, I'm making sure that their team stays super invested and aware and awake of what's happening on this court right now and what kind of an opportunity they have in front of them to fully take advantage of this matchup today, especially without the usage of Grosso for the Tyrants.
Out of system pass. Afaji fixes his pass, though, with a nice bump set cross court. Now let's talk a little bit of personnel, things that I don't think are surprising. I like this management. Robinson from the middle goes to the outside. That means he and Afaji are the two outsides. They've got to have the passers, and they did not waste any time making sure that was the case. And that means Daniel Jacobs goes from outside to middle. Swing goes long for Southern exposure. One of the hard parts about having just so few numbers on the bench is that you cannot kind of change positions for guys already on the court. So they had to wait until it was between sets, then they can reset their lineup. So that's one of those
player management things that you have to kind of deal with as a coach, player coach, whatever you've got based on the personnel that you have for your match. Obviously, players can't change positions in the middle of a set. You've got to wait for a new set to begin based on the lineup.
It's kind of interesting we talk about that, Matt, because almost any other sport, those switches happen freely. Whether it's, football players just come in and out every play, baseball, it's a one in, one out. You can't come back, but guys can switch around on the field. Basketball subs are happening all the time, so it's just so rare that you have to wait for the whole duration to make some of those adjustments that can just happen so fluidly in other sports.
Right.
Big swing there from the Tyrants, and they got a little bit more pep in their step here. It's been interesting. I didn't know it coming into this weekend, but it is the weekend of short-handed rosters so far, and you're seeing exactly what the teams are all capable of bringing. And right there, you see Ryan Mounty is bringing the block. Langston Payne not able to squeak that one past. Big move for the big man in the middle.
Very nice move by Ryan Mounty. He's one of the most disciplined middle blockers in the NVA. Does a great job reading the set and then reacting, getting his hands high and over the net to shut down that attack from Langston Payne.
High toss from Jacobs. Misses just long by a foot. Johnny Gomez wants nothing to do with that one. Langston Payne float, kisses the net on the way by. Low set, but Mounty recycles it brilliantly. Another recycle and a net called against Lou Rich. He's saying he didn't touch it. That's one that I would challenge. If he's certain on it, regardless of score, if you are that certain, because that's one you have complete control over.
Correct. If you're certain you didn't touch it with your arms, however, I'm pretty sure Lou Rich got called for his shirt being in the net, which he might not have noticed.
It's a good point. Bringing the brilliance there. As a middle blocker, you've had a lot of time up there knowing exactly. That's one thing always impresses.
I spent a lot of time in the net in my career, trust me. That did and did not get called.
I love the honesty.
And when it did get called on me, it was never me. It was always my teammate.
Yeah, it was always that damn outside.
Or the setter.
Oh, yeah. Who you may or may not have also thrown into the net on that move to close the block.
Never.
Yeah. I know your games. Robinson here with a standing float.
I would only do that if he sent me the ball too low and too tight.
Yeah, let him know. Pick up there by Malero. Goes to the D-ball option. And DJ, nice job. I like the small adjustment he's making. Same approach line, but Johnson is just pulling a little bit off there, and he's swinging deep, finding the corner instead of missing it by just that 4 or 5 feet that we were seeing earlier in the match, as well as some of the previous events. D-ball to Lou Rich, cuts it short. Johnson not able to handle the heat.
Yeah, Lou Rich really putting on a good effort and showing his, like you said, Nick, his volleyball IQ, his abilities to play some other positions. And he's a good jumper, so yeah, he could hang at the opposite position for a little bit in this league.
In the absence of Chad Mercado and Jan Sullivan. Big block touch there. Ofoha wishing that someone was sitting a little deeper, but everyone made good moves there. Just an even better swing from the side of the Tyrants. Now he tries to go short and goes very short. Afaji bangs that one off the block, but right now Exposure is looking good. Very, very composed. Their block touches, even when they're, might not get the exact one they want, their blocks are well formed, and it's really slowing down this Tyrants offense that is very, most assuredly missing Grosso and Langlois right now.
Yeah, and I thought the Tyrants were going to be okay without Langlois when Grosso was on the court for them, but then as we saw, Grosso taking himself out of the match early on in set number 2 really is giving Southern Exposure an opportunity here to pull off an upset.
Yeah, one that they so desperately need. Langston Payne is the only one in the air up there, but still missing the court wide. That unforced error, if they continue things like that, they are going to be kicking themselves. Mike Pelletier, perfect pass. Mishandled set by Sullivan. I don't know that ever got above the height of the net. Not much Langston Payne can do.
Well, and just as I say Southern Exposure has an opportunity, they give back a couple of points to the Tyrants, and maybe I need to reevaluate my statement and say we've got a battle on our hands, Nick.
Yeah, certainly do. Tyrants not willing to roll over, and another good pass. Gershfeld recycles. Gets another chance, 2 swings. Dug by Malero, in-system opportunity. And there it is. Afaji gets Sullivan. Man, Isaiah Afaji. We said his name a lot last year at every event, running that 6'2". He and Gabo Quinones were the 2 setters with Johnson and DJ running that we saw at every single match. For him to come out here and just take names as an outside has been a nice breath of fresh air. Woo! And there is Langston Payne getting back the set that he missed wide last time. Bangs that one into the middle of the court.
Yeah, Langston Payne, also an extremely dynamic middle attacker for Southern Exposure. They have to pass the ball up to the net so they can get him involved in their offense.
Backside gets some hands all over the place. Mike Pelletier having that little 50-50. Did I see a touch on the block? Leaves his hand out, and he definitely touched it. Gershfeld weathers the heat. Wow, that was an athletic play. Sullivan saves it with one hand, and Langston Payne, that wasn't even a set. That was just a saved ball that he just used everything in his vert there.
Yeah, credit to Sullivan to get up there, stay out of the net, keep the ball on his side of the net, and then Payne, just from the athleticism alone, to be able to elevate and attack as quick as he did.
Great pass from Afaji. Oh, too tight. No. I don't know, Matt, what'd you see? So that's a back row, that's or an over violation called from Langston Payne. As long as any part of the ball has broken the plane of the net, that is legal. So what that means is that ball never broke the plane.
Pretty sure it looked like that ball broke the plane. It only needs 1% of the ball to break the plane to be an over back row attacker, so no challenge called, unfortunately. Got to let that one slide and just move on to the next.
Tooled off the block. Payne with a float serve targeting Robinson. Robinson goes to throw that one deep, but hands are pulled. And now Ofoha blocked back. Sullivan throws a hand out, kind of gets in the way of Gershfeld.
Nice block by Mounty, but the Tyrants able to get that stop after a bit of a broken play there. Robinson going with that power throwdown tip to the back that couldn't fall, but then Mounty stopping Ofoha through the middle.
Backside to Lurich. Lurich dug by Johnson. It stays clear and over, means there's another opportunity for Exposure. He gets the set back. And it's kept alive once again. Johnson sends it back. Do they go to Lurich for number 3? This time it's to Pelletier. But another off defensive move there by Robinson. Mulero comes through. The Tyrants' defense is unrelenting, but a massive net. Quinones loses his footing there. Hopefully Pelletier okay.
Wow, Quinones and Mulero running into each other, pursuing that ball. And then Quinones just trying to stay in control, but his momentum clearly carrying him into the net. 0.4 Southern exposure.
(12 to 15). Lurich with a nice serve, but Mulero is the target, and that's Sullivan netting. Right now, you've got two guys that have not had a lot of experience this season, actually no experience playing outside. You've got to find a way to not serve Mulero. We'll talk about that a little bit more after this break, but that's going to be a technical timeout. 16 to 12. We'll be right back. As we see the Tyrants open up a lead at 16 to 12, Matt, I want to talk about something that we saw as a potential early problem, not having Austin Lovett on the court, the normal middle two behind Ryan Mounty. Mounty right now is doing a fantastic job blocking. We've talked about him so much already.
Absolutely.
And it seems like they've got their rotation kind of dialed in to only have what feels like one true middle.
Yeah.
They've got him lined up on Uchenna Ofoha, and he's doing some damage.
He's doing some really good work through the middle, Nick. You're right. I can't really agree with you any more than that. He's one of the better read blockers that we've seen so far this season. And even for Southern exposure, they're not running a lot of quick. Ryan Mounty's still able to get some hands up, get those deflections, and then also kind of run the lead on their block and defense strategies at the net.
It's going to be really important because it slows the entire game down. And when you've got Mulero behind you, and as we've seen, Robinson and Afaji are playing great defense too.
Yeah.
That's going to be the way that, Tyrants kind of rights the ship, gets back into it. Triple block there, challenges Johnson. So he sends it to another zip code as he launches that one out of the back of the court. Nowhere close to any line that would help him get a point. Pelletier with the float. Quick back one. Mounty's ankle is down, and this is as bad as it gets.
Good.
We are about to approach a situation that I'm not too familiar with no eligible substitution. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of two things. Either it's a forfeit of set, or the libero becomes an eligible front row player, but I don't know. This is a pretty rare thing, but based on what we saw immediately, Mounty grabbed his ankle, started tying it tight. That is key indicator number one. This is not going to be the one that you want to see. So we're going to take a quick timeout break here while this gets resolved. They're going to get him up. Okay. So we're getting back into the action here. So Ryan Mounty going to do his very best to tough it out. I don't think he's feeling good at all. If he's able to keep playing, this is pure adrenaline. So he is stepping up, and you got to hope that things are going to be okay on his end. There is a replay called, though, because of a mutual people landing on each
player
other.
Safety.
Yeah, player safety. There you go. I like that. Valero digs. Afaji loses the handle on that one, and Sullivan wastes no time going back to Uchenna, trying to exploit a potentially very injured Mounty here. Seems like he's moving okay, but when you try to jump, that becomes an entirely different story. But at 16-15, Grosso comes off the bench to call a timeout, get his guys situated. So we'll be right back. All right, Matt, so we just got a little bit of clarification. Love to share with everyone at home.
Please do so.
If Ryan Mounty goes down, what that means is that Jose Malero would be forced to go change into his whites, and they no longer have an eligible libero. He is forced onto the court as a sixth man and would take over that position for Mounty, or for Mounty at that time. If there was another substitute, or if another injury was to occur, at that point would be a forfeiture of match, as there is no eligible players and 5 players ins. You know, you can't play with 5.
You can't play with 5, and that would basically forfeit the match to Southern Exposure. Or not enough players to wear the jersey.
But we're back underway. Afaji dug there by Gomez. Pelletier throws a beauty of a set, bounces off the tape, and catches the Tyrants in no man's land. Mike Pelletier with a heck of a set out of the back of the court. And all of a sudden, that massive lead that we saw from 16-12 has diminished to just 17-16. Ofoha goes long. Right now, you know, this is something we were having a lot of conversations about with the Ramblers this morning, is when we were missing a lot of services. It's just when you're doing your best to manage the guys on the court, the worst thing you can do is go back and just continue missing serves from the guys that are not hitting ace-winning serves.
Right.
Miscommunication between Gershfeld and Pelletier on who's going to take that. And that's
you absolutely cannot miss serves when you're playing an undermanned ragtag squad, and you're trying to, you know, win the match. You have to put your serve in, make them side out, or at least, you know, get a chance to stop them. Don't just give them the 3-point.
Valero reaches back, gets a dig with the one-handed stab, and a white comes through from Afaji. I gotta say, the Tyrants might be a ragtag team, but they kind of have the right people. If they're going to have 7 guys, they've got the right 7 right now, and definitely not the ones you would normally pick for that squad. But at 20-16, they're given an exposure, a run for their money. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Getting back into the action, and we got a little bit more of a report on the status of Ryan Mounty. Noah, take it away.
Yeah, I asked him, I mean, what exactly happened, and he doesn't think he landed on someone else's ankle, maybe just kind of tripped up on his own feet and landed and rolled that very hard, and it's the outside of his left ankle, kind of almost towards the foot area that's really hurting him right now, and he's in a lot of pain. He knows it's swollen, he can feel it, but he told me, I said, coming out of this game, he says, no, we got another option, I'm staying in. And he told me, I'm still going to call for the set, too.
There it is, the true Texas grit. Anytime you roll to the outside of your ankle, that's not a good sign. So we'll see how long the big man can make it work as we are well underway in a gritty play now. Afaji swinging out of system, roll shot over the top. Set the outside, Gershfeld with an attempt, and he is able to best. Jose Molero going a nice little 4-4 cross court swing there. A lot of chaos swings where the Tyrants normally excel with Gianluca Grosso and Jake Langlois as two of the dig leaders in the NVA, also joined by Molero. So when you got 3 out of the top 5 are all in one team, that tells you a little bit about their identity.
Definitely.
Bounce off the tape, easy pass from Molero. Easy swing, Daniel Jacobs wanting to get involved. Playing a variety of positions so far this match, none of which are the normal right side, but he is still determined to make his offensive presence felt. And a swing and a miss. That misconnection right there is going to really start to maybe deflate exposure as guys are kind of already struggling to get the right good passes in system. And that's going to be Coach Tony Glasner calling a timeout. And once again, we'll be right back. Stick with us. This one is a knockdown, drag out, so don't go anywhere. Well, it looks like on the side of Tyrants, maybe unexpectedly so, but they are problem-solving dynamically, and Ryan Mounty enjoying every bit that he gets to sit on the bench here, I would think, to try and rest that ankle. Sullivan tries to lay out, unable to help Johnny Gomez out, who's basically getting a terminal ace there on the short serve, something very, very unlikely that you don't normally see. Not a lot of, I don't think there's a lot of options on the side of exposure either that's going to fix what we're seeing here, but Hubbard Neal might be able to get some help. I don't know. Lev Gershfeld swings that one off the block, though, and able to score a point that they so desperately need, now still down by 5. Good pass. Jacobs gets double blocked, recovered. Roll shot over the top to keep it alive. And now Lurich has to gather himself. Missed timing there. And there it is, Tim Johnson scoring down the line. Both teams right now trying to mitigate some errors that have been littering play on their sides of the court. But everything turning up orange right now. Jacobs leaves that short, but not to sweat. He's still got 5 set points to defend. Hubbard Neal gonna replace Langston Payne as a serving substitution. I have to wonder if this might be in an effort to maybe get him moving and warm for next set, or if they're just, no point in keeping Langston in.
Yeah, hard to tell considering it's set point.
Whew. Well, Ryan Mounty coming in, perfect pass, perfect swing, and there it is, Noah. He talked about his desire to call for the ball, get set, and make it happen, and he wastes no time at all here at his first Father's Day weekend, as he had a newborn between, last Father's Day and this one. So big swing for him there. We'll be right back into the action for set number 4 as the count now stands 2-1 for the Texas Tyrants. We'll be right back. we are looking at a Southern Exposure squad that has got to do some problem solving, and they're putting the exact same team out, trying to solve that same one. I think that's what they say is the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah, goes something like that, Nick. And for sure for the team that really now has their back against the wall, probably thought that they were going to get a hall pass after Gianluca Grosso goes out of set number 2 and Southern Exposure dominates that game. However, the Tyrants responded nicely, even with Ryan Mounty tweaking his ankle and maybe even, not sure if he was going to continue. He stayed in, and now Southern Exposure down 2-1 in sets of this match. And talk about tense moments for them, as really the season may very well be on the line for them here.
And also, a quick moment, take a shout out. Tyrants, I mean, we talk about the problem solving. They're winning at that right now. They've got guys willing to just step up and play. They've got Afaji playing outside, Jacobs in the middle, Johnson, who hasn't been starting a lot of the matches this year due to some inconsistencies on the right. Like, everything that could go wrong is going wrong, and yet they're making it go right. So, I mean, that speaks to the discipline. When you got Gianluca Grosso and Coach Mauro Grosso, even though he's not here, you know that they're getting these guys ready for moments like this.
Absolutely right. Although back-to-back service errors from both sides there to start set number 4. But you're right, Nick. It's a great point. Doesn't matter where you are on the court. If you're wearing the jersey, you're all fighting for that common goal and trying to get it done.
Nice pass. Backside to Afaji. Bangs that one high off the hands. And I guess to contextualize a little bit, because sometimes we talk about such high-level stuff, to bring it back, is that so basically when the players start any given point, they have to be in front of or behind and to the left and right of certain players, and that's where you'll see them shift positions. And so when I made an allusion to other sports earlier, how they can just kind of seamlessly transition players, they're not able to do so here so easily. So those kind of adjustments take players that are very, very aware of all the rules, where they can line up and how they can make those adjustments. So love to see what they're doing here so far.
Well, thanks for that, Nick. That was super insightful. Had never really incorporated contextualizing into volleyball, but that's a very good strategy of involving concepts.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Pelletier leaving that one short. Southern Exposure right now, the story of their season, do 80 to 90% of things right. And the one thing you've got to do to win a game, win a set, win a match, they just can't do it.
It's like the door is open, but they're having a hard time walking through.
Yeah, seriously. The serves right now from Tyrants are giving them plenty of chances. All they've got to do is reach out with an open hand and say thank you. We'll see if Langston Payne gets a little bit of mojo started now on the back line. Ooh, Robinson. Nice dig by Sullivan, even if it was off his face. And now Pelletier airs that out to give his guys some time. Back row attack to Afaji, but it's dug by Payne. This has to be a free ball opportunity once again. Tyrants in system. And they go to the outside. Robinson throws this one, dug by Sullivan once again. Low set backside. Sullivan with a third dig of the rally. Langston Payne tries to go to Lou Rich, swatted back. Bump set to the outside. Pelletier chips this one down. And the rally continues now as Johnson swings high and swings wide to the back wall. What a rally here.
One of the best defensive rallies of the match we've seen so far, Nick.
Wow.
A couple of guys with some big covers. Sullivan with that dig. I think it was off his shoulder, maybe his ear, hard to tell.
Yeah.
He was trying to get out of the way, but it turned out to be a perfect dig, and then Tim Johnson just missing on that right side attack.
Langston Payne, the middle, getting in there, throw a hand out. He got a dig. Everyone getting involved. Scramble here on the Tyrants. Robinson swings deep, but swings wide, and I talked a little bit about, maybe Langston can get something going, and he has quite brilliantly now. Tied up 4-4. Malero with the perfect dig, and Easy opportunity. Johnson high off the hands. Uchenna Ofoha letting Lev Gershfeld know that he needs him to be deeper in the court when they have a well-formed double block like that. Ofoha fresh off of a season over in France. One of the fastest, best ball control leagues in the world. Luridge getting it done, one-on-one backside. And right now, if you're Sullivan for exposure, the name of the game is going pin to pin and making Ryan Mounty move. Try to exploit the lateral mobility of his ankle and see if you can start to wear him down.
Yeah, and for Southern exposure, you got to keep getting opportunities to Luridge and Pelletier, those two guys leading their team in points. But right on cue, you said it. Get the ball to Mounty, and he scores out of the middle that time.
Still leaving him a little low, but his aggression, he just finds a nice angle on the approach line there. Johnson goes with the float serve, and Mounty goes with the exclamation point. I like Johnson's decision there not to jump serve and rewarded for it. Mounty does not look like he is missing a beat. And Matt, he might feel this one at about 6 o'clock tonight, but for right now, he is locked in.
And certainly tomorrow morning as well.
Yeah. Set to the outside, misses the hands, no touch, no dice. That's a point for the Tyrants. Tyrants back to a 3-point lead after Exposure was able to battle back to start the set. They are fighting for any sense of consistency. Ofoha shut down by Ryan Mounty. No ankles, no problem. Number 8. Apologies, I said 8, 15. Couldn't see from the stripes. The camouflage was real. Back set to Sullivan, and it's got to be a free ball. Robinson, easy transition. Ryan Mounty, the man on fire. Wow. Matt, you love to see a medal just take over like this.
Speaks to my heart, Nick. It's a great set from Quinones and Mounty just taking over this game at the front row for the Tyrants. What a performance by him.
Tipped over the top, picked up by Quinones. Mounty ready to take second ball to Johnson, who swings down the line in a free ball opportunity to the middle again. Miscommunication. Luridge tries to put the D-ball away, and everybody on Tyrants is set in their ways. So what the discussion is right now is Mounty tipped that ball. Uchenna Ofoha landed and punched the ball. So there was discussions about whether it was a block move versus a first contact based on where contact was made. I don't remember exactly where he was to really give much more, but fans at home, you're watching on YouTube. So you guys can check that one out at home. Either way, Southern Exposure able to get what they want. Now we're hearing about the call for they want to challenge that he was over on a Bic. Jose Malero tries to get the boys all settled back in, still up by 4, out of sorts. This is not the time to lose a bit of your composure. Nice set back. Tim Johnson says, I don't need no stinking challenge. Just give me the set. Big swing for number 17. Noah doing more investigative reporting, checking it out on the replay there. Saw no over, good, no challenge. So getting exactly what they need there. Malero spinning dig. High ball off the ceiling. Robinson ready to send it deep, but sends it too deep. Connects with that one in just the right spot on his platform and launches it.
Unfortunate that time. Not very often you see the over free ball that goes out of bounds, but just trying to give his team a chance to reset.
Ofoha with the float through the hands, and now an out-of-system opportunity. Afaji just tips to keep it alive. Sullivan says, sir, that's not going to work here. Throws that one straight down. And that's a little bit of the points that Exposure needs. Unfortunately right now, and Matt, I'm a big energy guy, and when I see points like that, I want to see the teams coming together and getting themselves going. Instead, Exposure kind of seems like they're talking through the net, and it's like, guys, you're looking out of sorts. You're doubling up.
I never would have thought of you as a big energy guy, Nick, especially after this morning's match, and that title you took home as match MVP. So, but I agree with you. Yeah, you have to celebrate your point, get together with your team, create that momentum together, and not worry about what's happening on the other side of the net.
Well, that is going to be a timeout call for the Tyrants, now down by 2. Exposure starting to whittle away. Tyrants don't want to give anything up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, Matt, I really do like to see that timeout. You know, you've got a 4-point lead. It's diminished to 2, but, you know, Grosso just wants to keep his guys nice and stable, get that energy back that they were feeling off of some of those runs.
Yeah, and also a little bit too much chatter through the net here between some of these guys. Everyone's competing super hard, right? Tensions are high, emotions are high also, but want to make sure you refocus your energies on the ball and not directed towards your opponent through the net.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, especially given the team that you coach. You've got a lot of guys that are, you know, they're talkers and they like to chat through the net. But I would argue as someone that's trained with and played on that team previously, they thrive in that. That's kind of how they play the game. Some of these guys, some of these teams, when that's going on, they are out of their element and they start to get very heavily distracted.
Right.
And so, like you said, getting them re-centered, bring it back into your side of the court, very, very essential.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Nick. Sometimes it can be valuable depending on the player and the team dynamics, and other times it can be detrimental to team dynamics and the player himself or themselves if they get lost in the conversation and forget how to play the game.
And just like that, Southern Exposure have now answered back, down by just 1, 11-12. But they are certainly answering nicely here on the back of some disciplined blocking moves. Afaji jumps, waits, sees the hands, and aims for the back wall. I know for a fact if there was no blocker there and you watch the trajectory, that one's going into the sand volleyball courts we've got out behind the gym here. That one wasn't dropping down anytime soon.
No, that's one of those plays that you pick up along the road of a lifetime in the sport, really. Afaji doing a nice job. Tyrants, you have to applaud the effort they give. I mean, they go all out all the time.
I also have to be a little critical, guys. You don't have any subs. Like,
simmer
there's
down.
a time that
Just play smart.
you got to make sure your boys stay healthy, or else you're about to be subbing Grosso back in just so that you can try to play with 5.
I got news for you. He's not going back in.
Well,
he
I'm
can
just
barely
saying
walk at this
that guy
point.
will sub himself back in to stand there before they forfeit for 5 players.
That's true. That's true.
Nice move there from Langston Payne going all the way to the outside, and Johnson getting shut down. Hirschfeld, good serve. Good pass by Malero. Afaji sends that one potentially out of bounds, but it's covered by Johnson. Gomez brings it back. Pelletier recycles, takes second ball, and now Lurich gets the high hands. Good dig, though, from Robinson. And Afaji tries to roll over the top, but Lurich reads it like a book. Gershfeld on the back pipe and gets the swing off the hands of Johnson. Southern Exposure looking like an entirely different team on that play right there.
Now they take the lead back here in set number 4. They have to win this game to force a tiebreaker. So they feel the sense of urgency finally, as we've talked about. They haven't really played with much emotion throughout this match, but now they realize what they've got to do in front of them.
Valero sticks one hand out and gives it a chance. Afaji, what a swing. That is a difficult ball to hit from where Quinones set him, but gets it done. 14-14. Matt, this one is certainly delivering the excitement, albeit at times quite unconventional. Fun one to watch all the same. Lurich on the back set, squeaks that through. Right now, if I'm the pin blockers, and Matt, I'm curious what your take is on this. When you've got Daniel Jacobs in the middle, obviously he's not going to go as well pin to pin. I'd like to see the blockers bring their block in a little bit and leave more line, just so that you're getting formed blocks with no seam.
Yeah.
Don't make him do all the work as a non-middle, and give him a little bit more help.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you can always rearrange your backcourt player to fill into that line seam that you're leaving open, as long as he knows that's what you're going to do. But I think that's a great insight there, Coach Nick, to have your wing blockers come inside a little bit to make sure you're shoulder to shoulder with your middle.
And now if you're blocking guys like Johnson, maybe you also need to jump a bit higher, because he is banging that ball over the top of the block.
Get a boost from somebody, yeah.
Nice chip in. Tim Lurich right now has been the steady performer for Exposure. A lot of ups and downs over there. We always talk about some of those performances of players, like Alvaro Hidalgo from the Colorado Kraken at event number 2, his first event, gets through the weekend with, I think it was like 46 kills, 0 errors.
Yeah.
I remember Tim Lurich, I think, had 23 serve attempts without a service error at event number 1 last year. And it was just one of those things that just blew my mind to see how many service errors were going on, and he was here just that consistent.
Yep.
Definitely a great guy to have on the service line for them right now. 17-15.
Well, now a 2-point advantage for Southern Exposure here in the second half of set number 4. So they have responded to the challenge, but Lurich
jinxed him there apparently.
Got jinxed. He must have heard you bragging about his serving performance, so he misses that one.
Johnson got the overpass on his last float serve. Good pass from Pelletier, a low set, but Ofoha connects. The top of his head is higher than that set. He's got to get him up there.
That's been the issue for Sullivan and Ofoha today so far, for sure, is the connection. Ofoha, one of the biggest middle blockers, so physical, but if you set him too low, you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot. Good adjustment by the middle to get that kill, though, still.
Afaji battles Ryan Mounty. That set from Gabo Quinones was special. That was something else. Gets all the way to his knees and finds Mounty, who is still just being an absolute workhorse for this Texas Tyrants team.
Yeah, they really are. It's Mounty's putting on quite a performance here in this match.
Good pass by Gomez. Ball falls. Malero not quite able to get that one. A lot of very deep, disciplined perimeter defense from the Tyrants, but that's leaving the middle of the court pretty open. I'd like to see Exposure start to work that and maybe try to expose it a little bit more. Nice pass by Robinson. Afaji early, way too early on that approach line, and that one gets launched wide. 3 points for Exposure.
Now is not the time for the Tyrants to start doing things they haven't done all match long, right? Not when you're down by 3 and looking at possibly a 5th set tiebreaker here in a couple of moments.
Ryan, the moneymaker Mounty, sees that front row zone 4 open, just delivers a beautiful little treat.
Yeah, the court vision of Ryan Mounty has really been on point today as well. It's a very nice vision to be able to see the open court there, tip it precisely where it needs to be.
Gershfeld with a good pass. He gets the set one-on-one. Nice controlled line swing.
Well, credit to Southern Exposure. They've fought back in this set after being down, I think, by 2 or 3 points earlier on. And they were able to turn it around, and they've built up a nice advantage now, a 3-point lead for them. So trying to finish strong here and take us into that tiebreaker.
Robinson makes that one look easy. Afaji tips picked up by Sullivan. Pelletier is just going to send this one over as a free ball. And Afaji is ready to take an advantage of it. There's a big block touch there. And a point for the Tyrants, down by 2. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout from the side of Exposure within the next point, if not right now. Back set, Gershfeld. Now he sends that one long. Not able to get there. That ball looked a little tight based on his approach line, and you hate to see those missed connections, but if you're the Tyrants...
Especially with one blocker in front of you.
Yeah. 21-20 now. Tyrants are squeaking back in. Both these teams look great. They open up 3 to 4 point leads, and then they start trying to hand it back. Langston paint blocked, but covered, and this one has to go. Sullivan sends it. Isaiah Afaji hammers that one through the solo block of Gershfeld.
And just like that, Nick, we're tied at 21 points apiece.
Matt, this is one of the most interesting matches to watch with everything that has transpired. But we're going to be right back with a timeout here on the side of Exposure to see the final sprint to 25. We'll be right back. If you're just joining us, I'm Nick England, joined alongside of Matt Prosser and Noah Chass on the sideline. This is the NVA match number 3 of the day, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in San Bernardino, California at the Pierce Sports Center. You're watching Orlando Southern Exposure take on the Texas Tyrants. Texas Tyrants currently lead 2-1, tied at 21 apiece. Gershfeld is the option, blocked by Faji, and nobody home for an easily coverable ball. Lurich and Gomez, a little bit of you go, I go, but no one went. Easy point for the Tyrants. Quinones working Pelletier, Lurich bump sets to him. Afaji with another tip, but that one's read by Lurich. Back row, Pelletier throws it to zone 2. Afaji, no tip there, but a nice dig by Gomez. Lurich takes a swing. Quinones to the outside, and Afaji with the hammer sends it to the middle of the court.
Wow,
Texas Tyrants 23-21.
What a swing and what a comeback by the Texas Tyrants. They were just down by 3, and now they're up by 2.
Timeout called. Matt, very quickly, this one looks like it might be Tyrants ending it in 4 when we thought it was going to be a 5-set showdown. But if you want to see the exciting finish, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, Gabo Quinones, heavy lies the crown of the Tyrant with the serve right now. Got to keep it in, and in he does. But there's the double block of Johnson and Jacobs. We always talk about these two as the two opposites, but right now they're a dynamic duo blocking to the right side, shutting Lurich down.
And Nick, it is now match point for Texas Tyrants. Oh my goodness.
This one has been as back and forth as they come. Quinones goes short. Tim Lurich is blocked back to back. Tim Johnson. Wow.
Back to back, massive stuff downs from Tim Johnson right there. And Daniel Jacobs against Lurich. What a finish to that match, Nick. Oh my gosh, I can't believe what I just saw.
Yeah, that was one of the most interesting matches we've seen of just like back, just seeing the injuries, seeing the personnel changes, both these teams not giving up anything. Unfortunately, is that going to be the sun setting on the Orlando Southern Exposure season? I mean, at this point, it feels like they're a bit out of it's not in their hands anymore. They've got to win out, and I think some other teams are going to have to take losses.
That's a very tricky spot to be in, especially when you are not in control of your own destiny, right? Especially in sports. You can play the game as hard as you want, but if you don't get the job done, you lose too many matches, you put yourself into that corner that we talked about before the match. Well, now it's even more so they're painted themselves into a very, very tight corner.
Yeah.
And it may very well be completely out of their control in terms of whether or not they make championship weekend here in 2022. But it's really unfortunate for Southern Exposure. I thought they played a good level efforted match.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't really put all the pieces together.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things that they were highlights. They looked good. I liked the way they were running the middles, maybe some misconnections. But at the end of the day, I thought Lurich had an excellent effort on the outside.
He did,
but you can't just do one thing at a time. You can't just be blocking well or just passing well. You got to do it all together.
Yeah, you do, and I think we saw some lacking outside hitter production for Southern Exposure, and then also not passing the ball well enough to go through the middle to set Langston Payne and Uchenna Afoha through the middle for Southern Exposure. And I think that proved to be, really a disaster in the making.
It really was, and even when they were getting set, there was one big problem, and that was the man of the match on the other side of the net. Noah's with him, Mr. Ryan Mounty. Noah, take it away.
You said it, Nick. Ryan Mounty, our man of the match. Ryan, you go down with that ankle. The whole gym is silent. You come out of the game, you come back in and just dominate at the net. How did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, the team is very supportive of me, so I'm grateful for all those guys. We don't really have many subs, as you can see, and then John Luca got hurt too, so I was just like, I got to power through, and I did a good job of doing that. And then the serve receive, we started picking it up, so it gave me a couple options to swing, and I'm just grateful for just being on the team, being with the guys, so they're a good job.
You looked at me and told me, I'm not going out of this game, and I'm going to ask for the set.
Yeah,
what does that say about you?
Yeah, I'm very competitive. I hate losing, and just like everybody on the team, man, we're all very competitive. We hang out with each other like on the weekends, and we play ping pong or we'll play billiards, as Danny would say. And nobody likes losing. So yeah, I'm that guy where I want the ball if the pass is good.
You came into this game without Lovett, without Langlois, and then you lose Grosso. You're still able to battle back as a team and even overcome a little bit of a deficit in that last set. How important is this win for your team?
Oh, I mean, it's a good win. We all have faith with Anthony, Isaiah, Danny. I mean, we practice together all the time, so the chemistry is always there. We practice with the rotations, and everybody's fighting to get on the court. And when they get on the court, they show what they can do, and we're pretty deep. So I'm happy to be on this team.
It's a Father's Day weekend. I know you're a new dad within this past year. Yeah. Was that showing some dad toughness, just toughing out the ankle, get back out there?
Yeah, exactly. I got to show my baby girl, Brooklyn, I love you. I know you're watching. So I mean, I just can't wait to get back home and give her a big hug. So I'm ready for that.
Great game. Go rest and ice that ankle, whatever you got to do.
Ice. Thank you, guys.
Ryan Mounty, our man of the match.
Well, Matt, that one really delivered. It was a lot of storylines unfolding there, and at the end of the day, you have to find a way to win.
Yeah, you certainly do. Doesn't matter who's available for you, who's on your roster, who's not on the bench. You just have to work with the pieces that you got, tough it out a little bit sometimes, play your butts off and just try to win the match.
Yeah, well, that's going to do it for us. I'm Nick England. This is Matt Prosser, Noah Chast on the sideline. Up next for our final match of the day, 6 p.m., Utah Stingers and Seattle Sasquatch. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you back here then.